Hi guys, I've made a few attempts at filming a 2014 goals video with my laptop, but unfortunately the audio and the video from my webcam aren't linking up for some reason and it's just awful. So I've given up and I'm just filming my Android for now. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what my goals are for the year and then just go right into my January wrap up. My goals for the year are to read 50 books, which is the same goal that I've set for the last 3 years, and I've met it the last 3 years. I thought about going higher, but really for me, I use it more as just a way to keep myself on track and make sure that I'm consistently reading, more so than to make sure that I'm reading like an obscene amount of books. So I'm just going to keep it at 50. Also, going into my next goal, I've been reading a lot more sci-fi and fantasy, and a lot of those novels are larger. So my next goal is to read more sci-fi and fantasy this year, because at the end of last year I discovered that it's a genre that I really enjoy and that I'd like to read more of. And my last goal is to buy nicer editions of books. Unfortunately, my favorite used bookstore went under this year, which is disappointing. So they're no longer around, so I'm going to be buying a lot more of newer editions of books as opposed to used books, which gives me the benefit of being able to choose from different editions. When I first started building my library collection, I had like the view of like the Beauty and the Beast library that Belle goes through with like the sliding ladders and stuff, and I just kind of wanted to accumulate as many books as possible. And as such, I have a lot of kind of uglier, crappier trade paperback editions of classics that I wish I had bought in nicer editions, because as you probably know, a lot of them come in leather-bound and cloth-bound versions, which are gorgeous. So I'd like to upgrade some of my favorite books to nicer editions, and then from now on, if the opportunity presents itself, to buy the nicest edition of whatever book I'm purchasing. I'll still buy used books. I have nothing against cheaper editions, but for books that I know I'm going to hang on to and want to read for a while, I'm going to try and buy the nicer editions. And that's it for my 2014 goals. And then on to my January wrap-up. For January, I read 3.5 books. I know, not stellar, but in hindsight, I probably should have picked a lot of smaller books to kind of jumpstart my reading goals for the year, but I didn't do that, so too late now. And the books I did read, though, were Eleanor Rigby by Douglas Coupland. This is a beautiful Color Your Library edition. It's a bright, bright pink, even on the pages. This is loosely based off the song Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, and I think Douglas Coupland described it as like a study of loneliness, which really intrigued me. It follows a woman whose name is Liz Dunn. It's the first book I read this month. I couldn't remember her name. And a mysterious stranger shows up in her life, and he turns out to be her son that she gave up for adoption years ago, and he's afflicted with an illness, and he's dying. And it kind of shows her growth going from being sort of almost a shut-in to starting to accept other people into her life. So I really enjoyed it. It's got it sounds like a really dark subject matter, but it's handled beautifully. The writing is gorgeous, and it's a lot more lighthearted than it sounds. The next book I read was hands down the worst book I read this month, and it is An Object of Beauty by Steve Martin. I really wanted to like this. I've heard great things about some of his other novels. It's throwing off my white balance. Unfortunately, this, however, did not hold up to my expectations. It's a really beautiful book. The paper is nice quality. The end papers are gorgeous. And then throughout the novel, it has pieces of artwork, which probably not going to show up too well, but which are gorgeous. And I picked it up because the art aspect of it really interested me. Unfortunately, though, the story didn't so much interest me. It follows a girl named Lacey Yeager, and it follows her throughout, I think, like about a 20-year span of her life, from about her early 20s to her 40s, I believe. And it follows her beginning her career in the art world and how it progresses through the next 20 years. It's told through the eyes of one of her friends, And I really enjoyed the parts where he was talking about art. You can tell that Steve Martin knows like quite a bit about art, and it was written beautifully. However, every time he went from switching from talking about art to talking about Lacey, I was like, oh, god damn it, not her. Why are we talking about her again? Which is not good, because she's the main character. But you were just like, you wanted her to go away. Because she really brought nothing to the story. She was shallow, flat, cold, and one-dimensional. I have nothing good to say about her. The way he describes her, she basically sleeps her way to the top of the art food chain, and is just, she had nothing else going for her. And, yeah, that's really all I have to say about this book. I gave it 2 stars, I think, which was actually generous. But the parts about art were really beautiful and interesting. If you like learning about art, probably enjoy that part of it, but the actual story did nothing for me. And finally, I finished the Star Wars trilogy. First of all, can we just marvel at the glorious beauty of this book? Hands down, the most gorgeous book that I own. It's one of the leather-bound editions. The end papers are gorgeous also. Look at that. Absolutely loved this. If you've seen the movie and not read the books, I would totally read this. If you've seen the movies and you didn't really enjoy them, I would recommend this because they're really different. The novel, I don't know, I just found it a lot richer. You get to see a lot more into C-3PO and R2-D2, which is fantastic, than you do in the movies because you hear more of their narrative. And yeah, if you like sci-fi and fantasy, like I think this is an obvious choice, but I'd be surprised how many people haven't read it. I really enjoyed the entire trilogy. A+. And then the last book I read was half, or over half actually, of Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, and I'm hoping to finish it in February. Loving it. The world is fantastic, and I can't wait to get further into it. This video has dragged on forever. I'm sorry about that. I have a book haul coming for you with a lot of these books in it, but also a lot of other ones that I bought in January, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.